Hello and welcome back to the AI Business and Innovation Podcast. I'm Daniel Halbert, and today we're jumping into commercial real estate finance with the man who's blowing up the old broker model. Ira Zlotowitz is founder and CEO of GPARENCY. His team places over $300 million in loans every month, and he charges a flat fee instead of a 1% commission. This is his way of giving you a mortgage assurance guarantee because he gives you more than just what a mortgage broker offers. And we're going to understand what that means in more detail as that ties to his success formula. So we're gonna learn about how that works and the style that he teaches his salespeople in order to make sure that they're successful and exceeding the industry standards. Ira, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Daniel, for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks. So, Ira, if we could just jump into getting to know you a little bit, could you just explain to the audience about your background, where you came from, how you got into mortgage, into mortgage assurance brokering, and how basically, run us into what you're up to today? Because there are some cutting edge things that you're doing that I want to make sure that they're aware of.
Thank you very much. So, as you started before today, revolutionizing the commercial mortgage space, the broker model, mortgage broker model has always been a mortgage broker would consult for free when a client's buying real estate, help them with due diligence. It's a good deal, advise them, help them run numbers. And then when it came to the mortgage, that's they got paid to take a 1% fee of the loan amount. And, what I was my whole career, I've been in this business for 27 years. That's what I've been doing. Clients would call me to pick my brain. And then when they had a mortgage, they'd use me and only pay a fee when they closed. Those were like a lot of bickering with clients. Why is the fee based on the loan amount? It should be based on value. Why should an easy big deal make more money than a very tough small deal? And, are you really providing extra value on every single deal? Sometimes it makes sense to go direct. And the pendulum started to switch over the last, started about like really heavy about 10 years ago and moving more and more till now, where about 80% of owners don't use brokers. They go direct. So 80% of owners are looking for commercial real estate finance, go direct. 15% approximately use a broker for the sake of shopping the deal. And 5% have a structured tough deal where they use a broker because they need someone until the closing, where the old business model will always work. And I said, I don't want to be in a situation where my market share is shrinking and I have more competition and fees are dropping. I said, I'd rather create a product that works for everybody. We're venture backed. We open up GPARENCY to revolutionize the industry. The first main steps of revolutionizing the industry we started, which was number one is change the pricing. Basically, we call ourselves a mortgage assurance broker. We do the same work as a regular broker, but we stop after the term sheet is signed, number one. And number two is we only charge $4,500. So it's irrelevant how big the deal is or small the deal is. So basically someone comes to us and says, hey, I go direct. Can you shop the rest of the market? I use a broker to shop. I don't want to pay a commission anymore. I'll pay a fixed fee. You're a professional. And someone else says, I'm part of that 5%. I need a broker to the closing, but can you keep my broker in check and shop the broader market? So now I have a product for 100% of the people. My product is every property type, every asset class, every structure, land, construction, mezz, you name it. We're doing it with the exception of a single family home that you buy to live there. If you buy an investment property at any size, any piece of land, owner occupied, you name it, you're able to finance it. So that's the first part. The second part with the company is that how do I take care of the advice? We built an app, totally free. It was in beta it's in beta for the last 2 months, just launched in the App Store. And it does 3 amazing things that every real estate investor needs. And I tell people, if you're investing in real estate, do not make an investment until you run the numbers through the app. So it's an underwriting calculator that you can underwrite a deal in under 3 minutes without any underwriting experience, period. Number 2, it's the whole United States, Google Maps, overlaid with public data, contact information, ownership information, recent sales, recent finance, and listings. Number 3, it has the rates of every property type throughout the United States. So that's the 1-2 punch. And one more thing, which we just spun off a new company called GPlacer, which we're with licensing for those who say, I want to do it myself, or mortgage brokers, competing mortgage brokers. They want better banking data. We license our data. And from there, we're going to end up building tools, AI tools, to allow those that use that product to basically assist them if they want to do everything themselves. So if you're a mortgage broker, I give you tools to assist you better. If you're an owner, I'll give you tools to be able to not need a mortgage. If you're not cutting down a mortgage broker, if you already made a decision, you're part of the 80%, you don't ever want to use GPARENCY, let me give you those tools. That's the play. So exciting times for us, thank you.
Fascinating. So these ideas, they show up. You and I were talking previously how anybody could create an app, apply AI, and try to make a quick buck in the market. The funny thing is that when a person like yourself, a professional with specialized niche experience, shows up with a technology as a means to solve a problem that you already have been successfully solving for many years, it changes the game because you know how things work and you built a layer on top of that in order to facilitate a smoother, efficient process. It can save people time.
We feel that we feel the same way. I could tell you, if I could jump in, that when the venture capital showed up, then eventually my clients took that spot. It was the largest seed round, 2021. Their line was, you're basically building Netflix of the industry, and you were the blockbuster. So it's rare that the incumbent is willing to revolutionize and be part of that change. It was a tough, long journey to get here.
It's interesting. To what do you attribute the timing? Because, people have been trying to apply software for, I don't know, I guess you could say at least a decade with AI or some former predecessor to AI. Now, what initial thought came to mind? What triggered the idea that you wanted to start with app development now?
So I'll tell you a little bit about the history that we got us here, and it's all from God. All the timing and everything is God. I watched back at certain times. I was like frustrated when things didn't happen. I looked back and said, timing is perfect. The height of the mortgage business, commercial mortgage business, was 2019, 2020. That's when we were killing it. And my former company, Eastern Union, $5 billion a year, growing and crazy. Those are the years every company was like really hitting their stride. We were number 3 in America in transactions, in the overall number 10 in total dollar amounts, $5 billion a year. But I saw the handwriting on the wall. I saw that the market was going to correct itself. I didn't know when the next correction would be. More and more people are going to go direct. Everyone's on social media. Everyone's on LinkedIn. If you own a piece of real estate in New York and in America, and you say, I'm looking for someone to finance my office building in Texas, you know how many banks are going to call you? So the same value that they felt a broker brings was diminished. It's not the same shopping relationship value. There's no like aura to a bank, and they'll talk to anybody. So you still need a value, but how much a fee you're going to pay. And I saw that trend going. And that's when a VC came to me and also saw it and said, hey, you want to build the future? Basically build a Bloomberg Terminal for commercial real estate. Map overlay with someone's properties, could see the rates, they could see the terms, they could see everything going on. So the funding was then. Today, you'd never be able to get the kind of funding that required to build a technology. And we just like sputtered along over the last 3.5 years. Now, the timing of the market, thank God, we got kept alive long enough that now the market need and the technology and this product, we finally, with God's help, put in the perfect that perfect blend. When we opened, we made a lot of mistakes. It was one big mix. I'd say, here, use my app, pay a subscription fee, and included, I'll give you, and then you have the rights to only pay it cheap for a mortgage broker. And over time, we perfected it, but no, GPARENCY is one product, like a half falafel. We just do the shopping until the term sheet. And then we'll give you free technology. It's going to stay free. You want to buy my data? Separate company, licensed bank data. It's a whole trilogy and the synergies and the flywheel starting to come together. So it was good God's timing. At left field, we got the venture offer, enough money to build, to create partners, to build the technology. And now we built the technology, but the app is brand new. So we basically build the app off the foundation of the technology, client facing.
So how does the AI play a role in the app?
So the AI plays a role right now. Commercial real estate owners are not ready for AI. As crazy as it sounds, they're not ready for it. It's scary. They still want a human. So when someone wants to give me a mortgage, like you say, hey, like you asked me previously, if someone wants to give me a mortgage, what do? They're reaching out to me the same way they reach out to their conventional mortgage broker. Email, maybe on the website, there's a form. That's what they're doing. Through the app, I have a form on the app, but basically there's a human talking to you. There's no automation on that part of it. Where there is AI is when you send me a deal and you tell me, hey, Ira, my broker's going to the top these 5 lenders, and I have to identify the next 10. We're doing over $300 million a month, thank God, and we're tracking over 3,000 lenders. We use AI to help us identify the next 10 lenders to go to, aside from what I already saw the deal, and we could target which is the right lenders from there. So using AI to slowly allow us to, when we get inbound responses on emails from banks, uploading that, reading that, understanding it. Every time we close a deal, place a deal, reading it and analyzing, hey, how come last time we didn't think about this bank? It was bank number 27. Why did we think about number 27 versus within the top 10? And we're spending our time with AI to perfect that part as the main part. That's like you're saying before. The secret, everyone is going to build tools that are going to allow you to underwrite a deal in 30, convert your numbers into a spreadsheet and do different things. That's going to happen. Email it out. But the real understanding the banking data and realizing that just because a bank closed are in the neighborhood where you're looking, that's because they did a favor for somebody versus they never lent it before. So you don't want to inundate that bank with quotes. So that's what we're using AI. And then we're going to use AI to build this, we call it Entree, an AI mortgage broker, that's what we're going to call it, that's going to sit over that data. Someone can have a choice, whether I run an AI to shop and run my deal, or they want a human to shop and run the deal. But the AI right now is being used in the data side of it. I can tell you, people like who aren't into AI want to say, what's the value of AI doing the data? What's the game changer? And I could articulate a great example that people like to use. So like that resonates. There's nothing special in the mortgage business today. So if you're sitting anywhere in the world and you hired a team of 10 people to call up every bank in America and ask them what the lending profiles, you'll be pretty damn good. Plus you get public data, and those two things together, you're in good shape. The third thing that we have is that we work on so many deals and the email exchanges are centralized. So you get to read the in between the lines. So what happens is you call up a bank and the bank says, I lend from 5 million to 20 million. But they tell you in an email and a note, if the client's very strong and will build a relationship, we'll go down to 2 million. So we need to put that in a note in the old way. So in the old school, I do a search. Someone has a $2 million deal. It's a very strong borrower looking for a relationship. Which banks will show up? That bank wouldn't have shown up because that 5 million threshold, you're 2 million. Today, that bank shows up. AI allows you to combine the fixed databases and, it's a vector database, I think it's called. The fixed databases now with just text or LLM, and I can read it all together. And that's able to get a much better hit rate, better conversion rate, and much more on target of what we do. So, but one of the things when we're getting out the data, 8 mortgage companies now subscribe to GPARENCY, and now GPARENCY just launched. The benefit now becomes, as more mortgage companies throughout the country use it, they share their information back as far as telling us, hey, this information is wrong, so we can update it. When more banks are hearing, hey, I want to do business, not only do I update GPARENCY's database of my profile, but if I also update it, another 8 and eventually 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 companies will be using it, we all win because we get better data. And you end up picking a mortgage broker because you want that person running the ship. The ship's all going to look the same. The question is, who do you want running it? I want to be able to go ahead and get that data together.
So many different ways to go here. I'm interested to understand what is the current process that a client goes through in order to get their loan. And then I'd like to understand how the app actually does it differently.
Okay, so I want to take a reverse to level set. The app has nothing, zero, to do with finance per se. The app is like 3 tools. It's a map, due diligence tool, like to see what's going on in the neighborhood. If you go to Google Maps and you see a property, then you go to public data, you don't have to go to a bunch of stops. It's one stop there. Someone who goes to CoStar or CREXI, which are the leaders in the space, then I'm not competing with that. My data is nowhere near that for that part. But if you're going to Google Maps, I'm Google Maps on that. The second tool is an underwriting calculator. You can underwrite a deal from the purchase price to the cap rate to max loan from debt service coverage, all the way down to the LP's IRR and everything in between it. Under 3 minutes, no experience required. That is nothing on the market like it, and we're free. Number 3 is on the rates. That's all it is. Once someone wants to actually have someone work their deal, they click a button, upload it to their email, someone's going to call you back. So I want to reverse it. Right now, the world is not ready for a digital mode. That was my mistake when I opened. The future is, like I tell people with Netflix. When Netflix came out, they had streaming and video in the mail. They focused as one line, you have 2 hours free streaming, came included. No one knew what that meant, but they focused on the disc. That was my mistake. I put it all together. So right now, it's very simple. The app is for acquisitions and due diligence. And it's a tool and a marketing tool for me that if you're using it every day, 18% of users are heavy users. When they think about financing, they'll think about it. So that's where that product goes.
I am looking to finance a deal. I have lots of different tools just online, like various software tools that are available. I need to have a lot more experience in order to put it all together. In this case, you're offering the average user the same tools that you use in your office.
But yes and no. As a mortgage broker, I don't focus heavily on the LP, IR, or what the splits up between the partners. I focus on the beginning part of it. You're buying this building, what are your closing costs? What mortgage you're looking for? Does the max loan work with that service? Are you taking a supplemental? Those are things I focus on. I want to know a little bit longer term to the end so I can advise a client end to end. But the calculator, I take it all the way to the end that someone's buying it. It's a tool I built for my client because I used to have clients call me up and say, could you please run the numbers for me? And I said, it's crazy. I give you a tool to do it yourself. So we built this out. We spent millions just on the calculator, millions of dollars. You have a 7-year projection. You could play with it. At year number 3, rents are bumping up by 8%. Just change it to 8 and it updates the whole spreadsheet with an IRR and everything. So it's crazy stuff, crazy sophistication, but it's intuitive. It thinks and operates the way a real estate owner operates. So that the app is totally for, like, if I was on a podcast today talking about people investing in real estate, I would say before you invest in real estate, make sure you go to the app and you do two things. Google the address, see the area. If there's a guy selling the building down the block, and call him and say, what can you tell me about this building? And see what he might tell you that otherwise you'd have no access to. Because if you're just investing in real estate and not a syndicator, you're the LP, you're the limited partner, you don't have any access to anything. Whether you're the investor or the LP, take the numbers that you have, that you're told, plug them in, fill out the form. It's very easy. And just you'll see a whole picture. You might notice something you didn't notice before the trigger. Oh my gosh, I just noticed this. That seems wrong. And that could save a lot of mistakes later on. They could realize nuance things. So people like buy a deal, think a certain thing, they find out later it doesn't happen because they made a wrong assumption. You'll see black and white what your assumption is, and then you could call your investing guru and say, by the way, I'm investing in this area. Does it make sense that projecting X% rent increases a year? Does it make sense that I should use this vacancy or this cap rate on sale? You could ask a few questions to your guru, and you're in the know. You'll see the LPIR, the GPIR, you'll see everything in front of you, and you'll see if you make a tweak what happens. So I want to save people from making bad investments. And on the other end of it, many deals blow up. Had they known the issue up front, they would have clarified it and it wouldn't have blown up. So it saves a lot of deals that way. That's the purpose of the app. The app is a free tool, trusted advisor to make sure that you never make a mistake. I can't never make a mistake, but that's the goal. And it will always stay free. The hook is if you're using it, GPARENCY, if you're the owner and you're the actual owner, you can say, hey, what do you guys do? Financing? Wow, I'll give you a shot. On the other hand, someone's investing, we may turn to a GP and say, listen, I didn't drive you crazy. I use this tool. Do me a favor. Can you give them a shot? So I'm getting referrals from LPs and GPs. That's instead of having to spend big money in advertising, this app is starting to go slow and steady viral. There's no 100, 200 million, 500 million people. My market cap is 5 million people. There's about 5 million LPs and GPs in America. So not everybody, some people don't care about their, underwriting at all. They just, they trust their syndicator totally. And then even if they wanted to, they don't care. This is what they do. They own a business, they invest. So that's my whole universe. So if I could get to a point of having 100,000 users, that's like my dream goal, to get to those types of numbers. I still like to believe it's 5 million, but 100,000 is my target.
So what's I'm curious to understand the transfer point from the app that is a free tool to actually getting the financing, which is a service that you're offering through GPARENCY.
So when a person is ready for financing, so when someone has to get a mortgage out, they do one of two things or a combination of both. They pick up the phone to a local bank, or they pick up the phone to the local mortgage broker. And they say, hey, I'm looking at this deal. What do you think? What can you get me financing? And they start seeing who's expressing a level of interest, and they go further and further down with that person and narrow down all the options there. That moment, I want to put they should throw my hat into the ring. And I want to say, hey, one of those people they're going to call is GPARENCY. That's the part that I'm hoping for. So instead of me cold calling of the normal channels of getting business, they should give me, and that goes the same way as they go old school. There's no difference in how they start with me versus they start with a mortgage broker. The first call is like free look. I'll tell you what I think.
And do you go abide according to what the app says yourself, or are you working with additional metrics?
So I'm saying an interesting thing about commercial real estate. The reason why people aren't able to build technology of commercial real estate, and they started and tried so many times, is because people who own real estate, invest in real estate, are very secretive. They don't want to give out any information. Nothing. My app does not require My app does not require you to tell me anything about it. When you're underwriting a deal, you don't have to give me the address. Someone just typing in numbers, 20 million, 40 million, 60 million, doesn't mean anything. When someone's doing searches on a map, is that because he's going to his office building, wants to check out the neighborhood? It's not tied to anything. You don't have to force into anything. That's the beauty I realized years and years ago, because I made mistakes earlier. I'm thinking that people would there's no trust. So therefore, it's two separate things. It's not linked to each other at all. Even when I sell you the banking data, go yourself. You don't have to type in. There's some competitors of ours that are trying to compete in the space for selling banking data. They make you put the address in, and then they really have that information what deals you're working on, and they can do whatever they want with it, whatever their agreements say. My end of it, there's no requirement. You have a deal, multifamily Texas, you do a filter, multifamily Texas, record, whatever the filters are, you do the filter, but you don't start with an address. So at best, even if I personally don't have access to the full data doing the actual searches, but even if someone in my office did have that data and was looking at it, all they know is that you're searching for bank information.
So we understand that these tools are being provided for people to be able to get the best rates in the market. Is the premise of the app that, generally speaking, a person shopping in the market for a deal is going to be at risk of getting, let's say, below ideal market terms because they would be lacking access to information, and that now you're providing data so that people can be more informed, and as a result will understand that the quality of the products that you're offering to help with the financing are actually the best in the market?
So it's a great question. It was very vague, the reality of that answer. I'll tell you what I came to the accepted public opinion. Accepted public opinion is that people are doing financing for their whole career. They have relationships, whether they go direct, whether they use a broker. But what's interesting is that 95% of owners admit that when they close a deal, and this is whether they're large owners, small owners, use a broker, don't use a broker, they say they probably left some money on the table, but it was close enough, certainty of execution. You got to have a great relationship, so they went with it. I'm coming in and saying is, listen here, I don't go into your brain why you think you're going to get the best deal. How do you change anything? Is it worth it for you for $4,500 to have someone come in there, keep your existing relationship in check because there's competition, combined with the fact that we'll shop to the broader market? The biggest values, since we took a fixed fee, it's not commission based. You have no ulterior motive where you end up. So I could advise you how to leverage all the offers against the next. So that's the premise of the starting point. They're coming with a pain. There's only two ways really I see and understand to solve that pain. Either they don't have the right banks to go to. So you think that your issue is solved with banking? No problem. Through GPlacer, let me license you my banking data. Option number two is that you need the person motivated, create competition. You want a shopper. That's GPARENCY for $4,500. And many people are going for both. They're making the mortgage broker buy the better data because apparently they think the broker might be missing something. But you know, likely they are. Not because there's an issue, but if you think about it, the typical mortgage shop in America is not a 100-person shop. It's a boutique. That's what makes them special. They know how to really work the deal with the great relationships. They don't spend, if they have an extra $100,000 to invest in the business, they can invest in better underwriting, relationship building, that part of the business. They're not going to hire someone just to call banks for the heck of it. So now they could, for a $5,000 annual fee, a mortgage broker could license my data for the whole year. They don't have to have another person on the team. And we all win because it becomes crowdsourced. When he sees a mistake, he tells me because he wants it to be fixed. I don't benefit or lose out or vice versa because of him having the data. So we all win because of it. So that's as far as the data. And then the owner says, you know something? And to keep my broker in check, he has $4,500. Let me engage GPARENCY to shop. So that's what it is. The app has nothing to do with what we discussed. The app is just a tool for acquisition to keep myself front and center with people. Someone graduates. Think about if you have a kid in college wants to start dabbling in real estate. What do they turn to? There are plenty of people with ChatGPT. I was surprised. Business people don't pay the $20 a month. I don't use it enough. Why should I pay it? I'm thinking to myself, you're in business, you're not paying $20 a month. Something's wrong with you. That's between that. We have a separate conversation. But I can understand a college kid not having the $20. So I'm thinking to myself, they want to dabble in real estate. I want to give them that front door. Download the app. Now you're connected. Type an address, you know what's going on. You'll see what's for sale. You see what's going on. You want to underwrite a deal. You'll at least start opening up your eyes to the world. That's the front door. And if that person will land somewhere, hopefully they'll land in a place. If they land at a lender, they'll make sure the lender is updating the data so we have better deal flow. If they landed an owner, if they landed an investment house, wherever they land in real estate, they'll introduce it through the app. And by the way, what is this company? How do they make money? It's free. No one does anything for free. I say straight up, my money is made by the mortgages. In this slow year, there was 340,000 mortgages done in the last 12 months. My business plan is let me get to 100,000 mortgages. It's $450 million in revenue. Keep figuring out how we could leverage all these deals to collectively get better rates and terms for clients. That's my business model. God willing, take the company public. That's the play. So keep the app free, sell this, and by licensing the banking data, which is our gold that we're producing, is it helps me have better banking data to service the 4,500. And that's what business goes out.
So let's go for like a rapid kind of just jumping into an interesting question for the younger viewership. I just got out of college. I want to get my feet wet in the real estate market. Let's say it's kind of like a Catan style, you have your resources. What resources do you need right now? Ira, if you're getting started, you just got out of college and you just like starting from scratch, you want to get it done. How would you go about right now going from rags to riches?
So first thing, pray to God. Second thing, make a deal with God as your partner. Instead of Shark Tank, your partner, make a deal with God as your partner. Now that you took care of that side of it, and you got your partner in place, the first thing I think you should, check. The first thing you should do after that is before you look at real estate deals, find where you're going to get your money from and what the cost of that money is and the anchor. Find that person who says, if you find me a deal, I'm willing to invest. And if that person tells you multifamily, single family homes, office, whatever it is, that's what you build around and find that person's return. Here's normally where people waste their time. And that's from this point on, number 3 and on, is what I solve for. You get an investor who says multifamily, as long as the cap rate's, not lower than 7 cap, as long as I'm getting an 18% IRR, I'm in the money. How the hell does this kid know what the hell how to run those numbers like that? I don't know how. So first I wrote a book on the business that just like a real estate for dummies, but I'm sure today they're ready. Whoever's saying about real estate has all different other courses they took already, who knows what. But basically now they could go out tomorrow. They could start by multifamily, go out to these main websites. I have listings on my app, but it just tells you who's selling it. If you want real detailed information, go to the listing sites out there. But now you could focus on multifamily reverse engineer. If the guy wants to give you $1 million at a deal, the typical financing is 75% reverse engineer it. Oh, you could buy deals up to $4 million. Start calling up mortgage brokers in the market. You want to go and say, give me buildings for sale, $4 million and less, not lower than a 7 cap. You know what the hell you're talking about, but that's how you come. At least you have the lingo. Now you start getting them in. What the hell do? You take that off from random and you plug those numbers that are in there into the app, and you'll be able to see what cap rate it works out for, what IRR what it works out for. If it doesn't hit, stop and go back to the broker and say, hey, I have a toggle. If at a 7 cap, you can only pay $3,812,000. Is the guy willing to go down to 3,812? Because if not, I don't want to waste my time. If he says yes, then work step 2, 3, and 4. But I think most people waste their time on getting on the wrong train. You'll get on the right train every time. This is the order you should do. Make a deal with God. Find out what your money is, what they want. Start calling up brokers that are selling, or cold call owners in that area that are selling deals on that dollar amount or less, and then quickly back of the envelope. I just say my app is back of the envelope. The back of the envelope is a lot more powerful. That's what the app is for. And I'm hoping this person's using the app all day. They finally want to get financing. They can have a question on financing. They'll click it. Mortgage broker in my office will get on the phone with them. I'll talk to them. And that's where we start the relationship. So I'm looking to start from there. Maybe not somewhere along the way. This person may find a deal. It's $20 million above his head, a great deal. As he's dabbling, and find another investor to go in with him and another partner. And as he grows his business, we want to be there for that. That's what we're working.
Well, okay. So what kind of metrics tell you if a deal could sink or if it's going to swim?
So there's a bunch of metrics for that. That's why I advise a investor. If you're looking to start investing in real estate, you have to have your mentor. And your mentor has to be the one to tell you what minimum metrics should you have for every line item. So take the numbers the broker gives you that's selling the property. But at a minimum, use this cap rate. At a minimum, use this vacancy factor. At a minimum, use this for fuel. At a minimum, use this expense for repairs and maintenance. And this way, you don't fall into that trap because every one of those numbers could mess you up. So if you have your guru that you follow, that's the best advice I tell people.
And are there just some like red flag deal breakers that you've seen which people commonly make a mistake on?
I think the number one deal breaker is about the person, not about the deal. You could sometimes have a bad deal with a good borrower, a good syndicator, make things happen. You have a bad syndicator, because the greatest deal messes it up. So I would spend time on the person, its integrity, focus on the person and experience. If you're investing with someone else, if you're buying it yourself, it's the other way. Make sure you have a good mentor, but it depends which side of the table you're on. And then once it's buying, it's really management. Management is key.
What kind of mentorship have you benefited from over the years, and how do you trace that to your success?
The biggest mentors and influences in my life are my parents, father and mother. The fundamentals that they gave me is always based at the root is stay honest, always be a student of business, look for the good in each person. So I don't look at it as one moment that changed everything. So as I'm talking to you and I could pick up something from that conversation, good, I'm going to take it from it. And if I have a question, I'm going to ask questions. So constantly, I'm iterating based on that feedback that I'm getting. So if you're looking to go into real estate, take the same approach. Be curious, be a student of business, always ask questions. And ask people when they bought a deal you didn't think made sense, find it after, why did they not buy it? Like, I thought I couldn't pay more than $3.8 million. This guy paid $4.2 million. What was he thinking? But then he flipped it for $4.6 million. So what happened? What did I miss? As you learn these things, go back to the people that told you what they told you. Be willing to reset and have a new view for that point to going forward on a consistent basis. I think as an Orthodox Jew and a believer in God, I think it's 125,000 million% connected. And at the end of the day, I think our job is to do what we believe is the right approach to do. I call it the Jewish word is our Hishtadlut. When I train and talk to bankers, I call it inputs. Our job is the inputs. God takes care of the outputs. And I have story after story where I just see clearly that when the more I did things that I believed I was supposed to do and worked on the relationships that I should have with God better, I found the success working even better. That's what I found. So it's not about, I look when it comes to religion, those who believe don't have questions. Those who have questions, there are no answers. It's like marketing, same thing. So to me, that's why I found that connection. That's what guided me always. Like I said, if you believe, you believe. You don't, you don't. I can't convince you. I'm not looking to convince anybody. I'm just telling you that's what I found. Listen, people go to Shark Tank as a partner. They believe just by having the shark as a partner, it's just going to work. Right? If you have a product at the right
But
time,
what
you feel
comes
like business
first,
takes
though?
over.
What comes first, the faith and then the success? Or could a person be successful in business and then turn to faith? Like, is it the same thing?
1000%. I don't think there's one that's first versus second. And also, who's to say you're going to see the success, right? I've been going through this for 3.5 years till it popped just as easily. They say that, success and failure live right next door to each other, the thin wall in the middle. How many times do you think, oh my gosh, we can't turn the ship around, where are we going to be? And thank God, all of a sudden, things start falling into place. And, that God's decided the timing is now.
Are there things that you do on a daily basis, like part of your daily rituals or routines that tie to your spirituality and that feed into your business life?
Yeah. So the answer is, well, one thing overall is I don't have a relationship, being brought up by my father, who was, I say it's weird to say it, but it's the truth. He was the most famous Orthodox Jew in the world. I passed away 8 years ago. So I was able to, when you have sometimes a mentor, where you have a role model but they don't have all the connections. You think like maybe they're not always right 100% of the time. But my father had the connections to the holiest rabbis in the world. On the other side, the wealthiest philanthropists in the world. So he got both ends of the spectrum. So he gave his own brain and he put it together. You knew with confidence it was coming the right way. So I was brought up that you're supposed to have a relationship with God. And that relationship is the same way, just like think about you and your friends, right? Sometimes you mess up your friend, you do something wrong and you make up. So it's a relationship with God. It's not like a relationship with fear. It's a relationship. And the same way to a spouse, husband and wife. And the goal is just to build that relationship. So if you started your life here, you go level 8, go to level 9, go to level 10. Someone goes from 8 to 11 is much better than someone who started at 90 and went to 91. You went up 3 rungs, that person went 1 rung. So that's how I was always built. That what's it called. So build a connection to God. You can talk to God, ask him questions and talk to him. Like as I'm going through this meet today, before I did this podcast, I said one psalm to say that the hope is that this thing speaks successful. This could either be someone misquotes out of this clip and it takes me down, or someone takes one of these clips that goes viral. That's the change for the whole business. So who can do the conversion rate controls that? God. So I found the times that when for the level that I was at that time, and I said, okay, let me try to take the relationship to the next level, or for I'm trying to accomplish in a relationship with God. What should I really take out? What are bad things that I'm doing that I should really try to do less of? Constantly play that. So as if I moved up a notch, I'm at that new level. Same way yourself, right? When you first came out with this podcast, you were happy if you got 1 view. Today, if you only got a view on a podcast, you're embarrassed. As time goes on, your number of confidence changes. Yes, it's very easy to say I got 1 million views, drop the mic, no one's complaining. But from 1 to 1 million, you don't know which number is the right number. When at a certain point you have something to lose, it happens in a relationship also, right? You just meet someone, but once you invest in a relationship, that's the relationship you have. The only tougher part, for lack of a better term, is that you're guided by certain principles, but God's not answering straight and telling it to you. So you don't know if there's another test and why. So when you have that full faith, it's easy to carry through because you just know that God is going to do what's good for you. And I've seen it always, sometimes instantly and sometimes a couple years back. Like, oh, that's what I had to go through what I went through. Like I look back now and say, if I would have came out with the app part of my business 2 years ago, the business model we think of then would have taken me down. I learned so much with the app now. I learned with keeping it free because when I wanted that to be the beginning of it, you could use it for free until a certain point. I'm going to charge you. People say, "Oh, I don't even want to start because I don't want to fall into the trap." They know it's free, they use it, and they tell their friends, and those friends are starting to give me a mortgage business. So a lot of things that I would have done too early, or I would have done at different times, I would have had different sets of issues. So at the moment, was it painful? Without a doubt. But for me, that's the clear. I think as long as I keep doing what I have to do. And I found that at times, like the big turning point for me on this level is the sales weren't really moving. Last July, I said, okay, fine. It's very nice to have a title founder, CEO. At the root, I'm a salesman. And last July, I started cold calling. That's when I realized, with God's help, what was wrong, what wasn't resonating. If I know the product and I could hold every conversation, I still wasn't converting. Something's wrong. And that was the beginning of the game changer to where we are today. This success really started in the last 3 to 6 months. We're at 325 million. And God willing, see a clear path. The question is how quick does God decide, okay, this is it, and it's gonna go viral, or could sputter again. But all signs are showing that we should be right now at turning point of amazing things.
You find are some of the main benefits of having faith and upkeeping your relationship with God?
So the biggest thing is that you're able to maintain a sense of inner calm. Sometimes in real estate, you have to stay calm. If you knew that When you, yeah, I don't necessarily want to go down with that example, politics of the war and stuff. But, I'm going to say it is that when you go down, before um, America got involved in the war, when they just did the bombing, and people saying we burnt this whole relationship with Trump and say, right, realize if you had full faith in God, you would have said God is a plan. People start losing it. So it's like, okay, we got to start diving to God because we thought it was all to Trump. Meanwhile, when you find it in hindsight, they knew everything they were doing the whole time. Just we didn't know. They had the clip of Netanyahu laughing and what's in his talking and saying how he burnt the bridge with Trump, and he knew. You think that you'll find out in a few days what's going on. So when you have that confidence and relationship and clear faith in God, it makes the journey much easier. So much so. I'll tell you an interesting thing. I got delivered a bad business news about like 9 months ago, and it's very calm. I was thinking of myself, something's wrong. Maybe I just became crazy. Like if someone tells you there's bombs outside, I say God's going to save me. It doesn't make a difference. If there's bombs, it won't hit me. No, no, no. You're a crazy person. You have to stay safe. So I called out or tracked down a major rabbi. I asked him. He said, when you heard the news, did you do all the steps that someone is supposed to do? Like if your friend called you, they got that news. What steps did you tell them? And did you do those steps? So if you did those inputs, then you're calm, then that's the right path. But if you didn't do your inputs and you're calm, then you're a crazy person. So that was where you try to find that right balance.
Let me ask you a question that more ties to like philosophy of the spirituality. So if a person wants to succeed in business and they want to account for things that they don't know could or couldn't happen that would cause the deal to, would you recommend to them that they try to meditate or review within their due diligence as a part of the due diligence something that goes outside of the realm of the quants, out of the quantifications of the metrics, and have them do some kind of a qualitative questioning, self-reflection, where they ask themselves about matters about the deal that are not actually necessarily even related to the monetary outcome. Like it may be a good deal and maybe a flop, regardless. Like let's think about it. Why am I doing this? How is this actually contributing to my path in life that I'm growing on? I'm becoming a person with more experience. And so what exactly is the connection between, a person incorporating God into their process of their due diligence and their decisions about investing, in that
So
context?
this, like you said, this is a very long and type of question to break it down from the highest of levels. What I found, I merited to train people that I met. They were poor. We actually collected money for them, food for the Shabbos, and they went on to be making millions a year. Some have 9-figure statements. And the common denominator that I found was, again, relationship with levels, a different relationship with God, right? Doesn't mean that you won't be successful if you're a certain way. Like, that's why people use the word tikkun olam. I'm helping the world. Like without the BS, you could very easily fool yourself to it. I think the meditating process is to cut everything out. Like, you have like the Sabbath where no one's on a phone. And like, just think to yourself, like, what do I really think? Am I doing this because I'm just saying a lip service to the world? What do I really believe? And make sure when those two things connect, then it's fine. That's what I found the success came. And many times when you're in roads, that's when you need things to slow down to. And I was like, hey, what am I really doing? What's my real purpose in life? And then I fall off the mission I wanted to go to. And you start bringing those things back together, found that's when success happened. And when success didn't happen, is the inner calm. Not that I accept it's not happening. Hey, it's not also so many times I realized, like, why did I even want to go down that path? So that's what I found in my own personal life journey, speaking to people that sort in their life's journey. Other people don't think at all, and also things go good for them. I believe everybody thinks. At a certain point, they think, and what motivates them at different times, different inspires them, different things. And again, it's also, you don't know what their steps they went through. Maybe they spoke to their mentor who told them this is the right way. And like I meet people, I say, you're doing your business wrong, you're going to fail. Then I step back and say, no. I focus on, I ask them, what do you believe it takes to be successful? If what they believe it takes is what they're doing, they'll be successful. It's not what I believe for them. So they believe for themselves. I shifted the narrative to ask them what they believe they should be doing. What would they advise their best friend? They'd advise the best friend to not care about going to shows or care about, advertising online. Just do this type of business development. I found those people successful because it matched up to what they believed they were doing the proper inputs.
So a portion of this is very much staying focused on what you're trying to achieve and committing yourself to the principles of successful business. I believe that also ties to mentorship, right? You need somebody that's able to give you the benchmarks. If it's going to be like, whatever the terms are, you got to have somebody that knows what the right range for the market is in order to make sure that you're getting the right terms out of it. So when it comes to forming habits, effective habits, in order to become a person that can actually succeed in the line of work that you do, could you please kind of explain what a person really needs to focus on in self-development?
So it's an interesting question because it's transitioning. The old school mortgage broker, it's very, very tough to break in new. It's for the most part, it's the existing brokers are holding on to their clients and shifting some of the market share in the direction. Very tough for someone new. Pretty much it's a salesperson calling and bringing the deal to the senior broker to be able to quote and place them in the conventional business. In my business, there's nothing really, it's really like every other business has. For the G place, they're selling data. If they're GPARENCY, they're selling something. I call it blue ocean. It's like they're selling a product with no competition. When I walk out of an owner, like when I walk out of an owner's a pitch and they claim they got it and then they don't use me, I think something's wrong with them. It's fiduciary. It's irresponsible. I say Jeff Bezos says whoever lives in America and doesn't have Amazon Prime, it's irresponsible. I feel the same way. So I developed a product so the type of person to sell it, how they have to talk, it's really just awareness. My single biggest problem is awareness, right? So I hope that this podcast goes viral. People listen to it and they become aware. And either they resonate the commercial mortgage, the mortgage side of it, or the app side. It's the flywheel. People come to the front door to the mortgage, and then they're always looking to also buy. Show them the app. They say, "Wow, I'll also use the app." Sometimes they start with the app, and then they have a deal. They come to the financing. So my issue right now is awareness. And I feel like I finally built the right funnel and flywheel that can get everything going.
Do you find that you're naturally drawn towards education? It seems like you've created some form of an academy.
Yeah. So the answer to the question is yes, 1,000%. You know, it's like I said, my father's a rabbi, came out with a publishing company, Art Scroll, changed the world, the Jewish publishing world. I missed my calling to be a rabbi. Someone says I could train in real estate. So I train more people in commercial real estate than ever. That's why what I love about what I'm doing is that every minute I'm helping people without competition. So I'm not damaging mortgage brokers. They have their business model. I'll keep them in check. If someone uses a broker and wants to engage, I work alongside the broker. Somebody wants to do a deal themselves, let me teach you how you can do it yourself. So whatever somebody wants, let me try to teach them through that process, put them on the right track to get. So, you talked about some of your questions before, prior to opening up GPARENCY, people saying is, you have to be much more ruthless. You can't just keep training people all day. Spend that time closing deals and bringing direct clients. I was going through that dilemma back and forth. But on the other hand, I was making enough money that I wanted to live and accomplish what I wanted to accomplish. So I was fine. When people said, you know how much money you could have made but I had at times moral compass. I had people do things wrong in the office. I had to let them go. And people said, you're crazy? You're making millions of those people. What do you care if they do something wrong? They're playing games. That's between them and whatever they do wrong. It's not going to affect you. I just moral compass. That wouldn't happen there. So today I feel like, wow, God allowed me to be in a business where the more honest I am, GPARENCY stands for GP and transparency, general partner and transparency. Get to the more honest, the more transparent, the more tools I give you, the more person wants my product. And if someone comes to me and says, Ira, I need that ruthless guy who's going to really fight for me. I said, no problem. Find that ruthless guy and I'll keep him in check. Find that ruthless guy, I'll shop the brutal market. Find that ruthless guy, and he might turn ruthless on you one day. I'll guide you when he shows you offers, which are the right offers. So I'm in a situation where I'm a win for everybody. And normally when someone says, hey, wouldn't mortgage brokers not like you? In the beginning, when I was going down a path that you don't need a broker, just come here, different business model was selling that. Today, no, brokers love it. Because if an owner chooses to create competition, which they almost always do, no owner just goes to a broker and that's it. They create competition. The risk for that first broker is if the second broker comes in better, they lose the clients. The second broker comes in neck and neck and is willing to go for a lower fee, they have to take a lower fee. In my case, they agree to whatever they're paying for. They're paying me for one service. I don't offer to stay to the closing. So the broker says, if I'm already going to have a competitor, I'd rather be GPARENCY because we're on the same team, so to speak. And GPARENCY, they make fun. Once you lousy 4,500, just give it to them. Who cares? And, Mr. Client, let's work out the rest of the deal. We'll close together. So thank God I was able to find, it took a long time, but we found this groove. And I'm loving and living every moment.
It's an interesting question about what happens to the types of deals that you see as a result of the fact that you have a fixed price. Do you see that it impacts your funnel, that you'll find deals, let's say, they may skew slightly north, $4.5 million or so, in order to see a difference.
So actually
in
the math,
skew.
by the way, is $450,000 is 1.4500.
Thank you very much. 450,000.
So
Okay,
I'll tell you the
better.
math. I'll tell you the big eye opener change for me. When somebody would have a $800,000 deal in the middle of Texas, a broker gets paid to work it all the way to the closing and have to spin the wheels if they're going to win the assignment. The risk reward, they didn't really want to focus on. Even if they charge a minimum fee instead of 8,000, 10,000, 15,000, didn't have the appeal. If I wanted to do this deal, it's not going to help me, win other business. On the other hand, someone has a $200 million deal. I never closed a $200 million deal. Things are already giving to a broker. I'm not giving it to you. With this product, the smallest deal we did was 300,000. We're working on a deal for 100 something thousand now. And the largest deal we're about to get, God willing, is a $200 million deal. Because the people are looking at it for $4,400 on the larger the deal, I give them a thought they could use in the negotiation. They may back to 4,500. On the small deal, even take a deal for $1 million. There's no one really aggressive helping them on $1 million deal. So if I just start going to some of the banks that I know and tracking the AI and all this stuff, and just even as a bank, without using up favors, there is a bank that's their niche. You didn't know about them, and they're a quarter point a year cheaper. That's $2,500 a year in savings. On a short-term loan is only 5 years. That's $12,500. Person almost triples our investment. Someone's buying a $176,000 first time they're buying a single-family investment property. Okay, the ranges could be anywhere from like a point difference a year. So a 1 point difference could be $1,700 over then 10, 20, 30 years potentially. But more importantly, they could find that bank I bring them to and then keep going back a second or third time they don't pay me. So in the smaller deals, they once they hook up with the right lender, they keep going with the right lender. So I'm seeing deals of all sizes, all types, land, construction. I'm agnostic to property type, location, size. I can tell somebody the team working for me. The turning point was, and I'll tell you the team working for me is that a client gave us a deal in Chicago. They gave us a USDA loan. And 300,000, I told the person, I said, you're paying me 1.5 points. He goes, Ira, you're missing the boat. I have a business. This is my building. I want a professional to help me. If I went to any reputable mortgage company that can get it done, they can ask me for a $15,000, $20,000 fee. And who are they going to put on the account? The guy who started yesterday. In your office, for $4,500, you have a guy in the banking team. His job is to shop and make me happy. If I'm happy, he gets his $450 bonus above his pay. Where else can I get someone to hustle for me on my deal? Nowhere. And that was like that light bulb moment for me when I said, well, I really have a product for everybody, any size, anywhere in the United States. I'm able to help somebody. As now go and send the data. As I get more users using the data platform, mortgage brokers throughout the country, and bankers here, the more mortgage brokers are using it, we're doing more deals. Flywheel, the banks go out of the way to update my data. So when that $300,000 deal comes to the table, using the AI, I can narrow it down much quicker to be able to choose the right lender to go to. So the amount of time I spend as time goes on is less and less.
So what do you think matters more here? Getting your client the best terms for the deal, the best financing terms, or are you more interested in the relationship that you have with them? Maybe they're not mutually exclusive, but I believe that, there's something about if you're going to offer a fixed fee, instead of taking commission, what you're really doing is you're offering value and saying, what I'm putting myself in the position is to hustle for you. And I'm going to show you how that fixed price is completely, in a sense, it may be symbolic because the value that you're going to be creating just by identifying all the different places too that you're going to reduce their expenses and making sure that they're connected with all the right banks, that you're going to put them in the right position to succeed. Ira, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today. I believe that our viewers are going to benefit greatly from access to your app, which is free and they can download it now. It's in beta testing mode. And also from checking you out, we'll be providing links for your LinkedIn and for your website and all other related products and services. And really looking forward to having you again on the podcast. Hopefully we'll collect some good questions and comments for the next time.
Thank you for having me. I look forward. I actually give my number out, my cell number. I have one cell number. I give it out. Someone can reach me. The best probably is to email me or WhatsApp me. So my cell phone number is 917-597-2197. It's 917-597-2197. And the email is IRAZ at GPARENCY, GPARENCY.com. And I'm on LinkedIn and regular social media. I put up videos, started putting videos again on TikTok and all these to try to, again, if it's part of the funnel. And we're going to open up now real estate education. I'm going to try to do, I taught real estate course. I'm going to try to do it in 1 minute clips. That's my goal. Teach every concept in a minute. I keep moving on from there. That's the plan. So I thank you so much for hosting me. It was a great conversation. Really enjoyed it. I got some clarity about my product as well as I keep talking it out. So I appreciate it. And I thank you very much.
Thank you, Ira. Looking forward to hearing really great results. I'm trailing you on LinkedIn and watching you just smash through every single target for your company. So looking forward to seeing continued growth on your end.
Amen. Thank you.